Let's bring in political analyst Brian Sobel this morning. Thanks for being here, Brian.
My pleasure, Allie. And boy, you have a long list there of things people have to think about as we move towards the election.
There's always a lot going on politically, which is why we're glad to have you here on this Sunday morning. 100 days away from the midterm elections. We know that the House and the Senate is going to be close, but especially the Senate. Which Senate races are going to be the ones to watch?
Well, I think we're looking particularly at Maine, which has garnered a lot of news. And Maine's an interesting place. Maine has only I say, 1 million voters. But what's interesting about Maine is one place, and that's where Troy Jackson, who's in the state Senate, the Democrat, is facing off against Murray, the Republican there, and she's been in the Senate for a lot of years. About 1 million voters, but actually independent voters are slightly higher in registration than Republicans, and just a point or two off of Democrats. So it's a very interesting state to watch. But across the country, as you point out, Senate races, House races are just critical to both of these parties. And history does not favor the party that is in office in the presidency.
So sorry to interrupt you. Troy Jackson is who the Democrats selected as their new candidate to face off against Susan Collins, who's been there for many, many years. Right. Do you think Democrats have a chance of winning that seat in Maine, given all the tumult that's happened with a last-minute change in candidates since Graham Plattner, the previous candidate, had to leave the race?
Murray, 3 times in her career, has gone into an election behind in the polling.
You mean Collins?
And won every time.
Susan Collins.
I'm sorry, Susan.
Yeah.
Yes, 3 times, and she's won every race. However, this year there's a different dynamic, frankly, in many of these races, and that's coming from the Socialist Democrats, or the very, very hard left progressive part of the Democratic Party, which has some attraction in Maine. It'll be interesting to see what happens in that race, but I wouldn't count Murray out. People who have counted her out in the past have done so at their own peril.
Do you think that other races across the country, that the Democrats, recent polls have shown that they have a general advantage in taking over the House, but there were some last-minute redistricting efforts that are happening, particularly in southern states and Republican-controlled states. Will the Democrats still have enough to come out with the advantage?
On balance, I think going into the election, Democrats have an edge because history gives the edge to the party that's out of office or is not in the majority as we come into an election during a president's mid-term, in the middle of his term. This is historic. It's only been twice in recent American history that anything has occurred differently. So Democrats, based on history, based on what we're seeing in polling around the country, have a very good chance of taking the House, maybe a little less so in the Senate, but certainly the House may well change.
In the clip we had just before we introduced you, we heard Representative Steve Scalise talking about how Republicans are going to campaign on the issue of protecting the U.S. against communism. Is that a message that's going to resonate amongst this generation that's now very far removed from the Cold War?
It's a really interesting question, and the answer is it's a we'll see. It's going to be a main part of the Republican platform going into the election, saying, hey, there are these people who are running for office who are so far left that they're even out of the mainstream of the Democrat Party. And Democrats in general right now are really fighting a war among themselves about what we might call mainstream Democrats and this new group of democratic socialists who have a whole different view of what they think is important in the future of the United States.
All right. Well, we'll see whether that is the winning message or if the issues of the ongoing war in Iran and the high cost of living, the high cost of goods and inflation wins out in the midterms 100 days from now. Brian Sobel, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate your time this morning.
My pleasure, Allie. Have a great day.
You too.
Getting outdoors.